Welcome to another video of what we ate this week. So we have the ground beef. What are we making today? Well, that's just it. I don't know what we're doing. Do you remember we made a homemade version of rice O Roni? This is Mary's from Mary's Nest recipe. I'm going to make that, but I'm going to turn it into a taco flavor. And I'm going to add the cooked ground beef, and I want to add some refried beans. Now, the other day I had made tacos. I didn't bring you along because I wanted to test a recipe, and that was making homemade refried beans. I have no canned refried beans in my pantry, but I did have 1 can of pinto beans, and I turned it into refried beans. So simple, so easy. One more thing we will not be buying in the store is canned refried beans. I do have a jar of black beans. I'm going to turn that into a black bean refried bean. And I have all the other components we need to make the rice O Roni, and then taco seasoning. I want to make the refried beans first, and then we'll move on to the other ingredients. So I have a partial onion here. I do want to chop up a good portion of this. This is probably about 3/4 of an onion. Part of it I'm going to put in the refried beans, and then part of it I'm going to put in with the rice O Roni. So this is about 1/4 of one of our large onions. And I want to dice it up really small. And 1/4 of an onion gave me about 1.5 cups of onions. That's a lot of onions, but that's okay. That is it for the chopping. I still haven't made chicken broth yet. So I'm using this Better Than Bullion seasoned vegetable base. I have about 1 3/4 cups of water. I want to add 2 tablespoons of this vegetable base. That's going to give us a vegetable broth. So I have the black beans drained and rinsed. Move over to the stove, and we're going to turn this into a refried black bean. So I have some lard in this mason jar. When I cooked the pork, I saved the grease, and I just keep it in the refrigerator. We're going to need a good 1/2 cup of lard. That looks good. I want to get this lard melted and nice and hot before we add the onions. Our lard is nice and hot. I'm going to add 1/2 of this onion. And I'm just going to cook this until they have a little color to them, slightly translucent, pretty much frying it in this oil. That's probably going to take about 5 minutes. Just soften them up and giving them a little color. I have the heat on a medium-low. That's closer to the medium, but in between medium and low. Go ahead and add our drained black beans. I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon. This is a 1/4 teaspoon measure of cumin. Pinch of pepper, and a pinch of salt. I'm going to take the back of the wooden spatula, and I'm just going to smash. We don't want any whole beans left in here. We want everything to be smushed all to smithereens. Hurts my hand after a while, family, but it's going to be worth it. If you have a potato masher, that would work perfect. I don't have one. So we're doing it with the spatula. I have about a half a cup of water. I'm going to add that in here. And I'm just going to continue to cook this until all that water evaporates. Oop, making a mess. That just helps keep it from sticking to the pan and burning while we continue to cook this and mellow out all of those flavors. I'm going to switch to 2 pans. I turn the burner to the refried beans to right in the middle of medium and low. And I'm just going to let that continue to cook. I have this burner on also, so we can get started on our hamburger. I'm going to turn this down to low. I'm just going to let it do its thing. I'm going to add some avocado oil and put in a pound of ground beef. I'm only going to cook that until it's no longer pink. And then we're going to go ahead and build the rice-a-roni. The hamburger is not done, but I do want to remove it so we can get started on the rice-a-roni. Refried beans are still over there cooking on low. I am going over there occasionally and giving it a good stir. I'm going to add a tablespoon of butter. Not even going to bother washing this pan out, family. It'll be fine. I have a half a cup of basmati rice, a 1/4 pound of thin spaghetti I've broken up into small little pieces, and the remainder of the onions. I'm going to give everything a nice toast, put some color on that rice and that pasta. That's going to take about 2 to 3 minutes. Refried beans are doing perfect. I still wanted to thicken up just a bit more, so I'm going to let it continue to cook till more of that liquid evaporates. Don't let the rice and the pasta sit on the bottom of this pan too long. It will burn. I'm going to constantly keep it moving so they toast evenly. So in this ramekin, I have a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, an 1/8 of a teaspoon or a pinch of black pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon of parsley, and 3 tablespoons of taco seasoning. I'm going to add a little broth to make sure we get all that goodness. Oh, the smell coming from this pan, family, is delicious. It's like aroma from heaven. Now we're going to add our 2 cups of broth very slowly. This is a very hot cast iron skillet. And I'm going to add a cup of water. I'm going to return the ground beef That way it can finish cooking while we're cooking our rice. There we go. I'm going to turn it down to a medium-low. Make sure everything is under that liquid so everything can cook beautiful. I do not have a lid for this cast iron skillet, so I'm going to use a pizza pan so that can continue to cook and that rice and pasta can be done. That's going to take about 20 minutes. Set the timer. Undisturbed. Back to the refried beans. Oh yeah, there we go. It's getting there, family. Just going to let this continue to cook on low until we're ready to add that to our casserole. Now this dish can be an easy one skillet dinner if you had canned refried beans. Like I said, I am out. Once I realized how easy it is to make refried beans, I probably will never buy any more again. I do need to get some pinto beans so we can make a bunch of home canned pinto beans. So when we want to make refried beans, we have the ingredients we need. So it looks like all the water has evaporated. Now we're actually going to be frying the beans to make our refried beans. So we need to stay close, monitor it very closely, and give it a stir. We want the bottom to look like almost like crust over, and then we'll stir it and let a new bottom crust over. See how thick that is? Oh, it's beautiful. You know what? There's one thing we need to do. We need to taste it. I have had all different kinds of canned refried beans. Family, simple ingredients is the way to go. Canned beans, we're using black beans. I have used pinto beans. When I was testing this recipe, worked out perfect. A little bit of lard, an onion, salt and pepper, and a pinch of cumin. Family, that is better than anything I've ever tasted in my life. If your family enjoys refried beans in any recipe you make at all, I hope you try making it homemade. The flavor is over the top. I'm going to give that probably another 5 minutes, stirring it occasionally, and I think that's going to be ready. I'm not seeing any whole beans. Perfect. I still have it on low heat. Just let it slowly cook. Let's check on our taco rice O Roni. All right, a lot of the liquid has evaporated. I do want to test a pasta and a rice. To see if I need to add any more water and cook it additionally. It's kind of hard to find the rice in here with all this seasoned. Oh, there we go. I got rice and I have pasta. It is not done. I'm going to add 2 cups of water. And I'm going to let that continue to cook. It's already been 15 minutes. It's probably going to take about another 15 minutes. I'm going to put my lid back on. Set the timer for 15 minutes. Oh yeah, I think that is good. I'm gonna go ahead and add our refried beans. Now if you were using canned refried beans, just open up the can and dump it in here. I'm gonna stir that in. Now if you want to add vegetables, go ahead, add some peas, add some green beans. Do what fits your family. That's a lot of food. Perfect. I have a 2-cup measure of pepper jack cheese. It's not tacos unless we add cheese. Spread that all over. Oh, that is beautiful. I am going to put the lid back on, turn the burner off, and I'm just going to let it sit there for about 5 minutes. The residual heat in that pan, that hot cast iron skillet, will melt that cheese beautiful. Then we can have dinner. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and take all my things back to the pantry that we brought out to make this dinner, and I'll see you in about 5 minutes, family. Are you ready, family? I know I am. Family, look at that. That looks beautiful. Serve this with a side salad. Family, I am super excited. Rice O Roni taco. That is delicious and perfectly cooked. I can taste the refried beans. I know they're there. I can taste them. The rice O Roni was cooked just right. I'm glad we went ahead and added the last 2 cups of water. Help cook that down just a bit. And we use homemade taco seasoning. If you have store-bought taco seasoning, that is fine, family. It's fine. But if you're looking for a good recipe for a homemade taco seasoning, I'll have my recipe in the description below. I buy all of my herbs and spices in bulk from Azure Standard. It's actually cheaper than buying a bunch of those little jars from the grocery store. And you have the ingredients to make the things you want to make, such as taco seasoning. Family, that is over the top. I need to remember this recipe for the future. I'm excited. Well, as soon as the husband gets home from work, we're going to sit down and have dinner. In the meantime, I do want to keep it covered so it'll stay hot. I'm just going to finish this bowl as my appetizer before dinner. I'll see you tomorrow. Let's start today by preheating the oven. I'm preheating the oven to 350 degrees because today we're going to make a meatloaf and we're going to make homemade macaroni and cheese. I brought out the pasta machine. This is a Philips 7000. So we're going to be making macaroni in the pasta machine. It makes it easier if you just put a dab of oil in this facing, and it keeps the shape maker, the pasta maker, from sticking. So just a little bit of olive oil will be perfect. And I'm just going to smear that in there. We're using the tube pasta maker. Let's go ahead and drop that in. Where does it go? Oh, there it is. Now I'm going to screw the facing. And we should have no difficulties taking this out when we're done and we're ready to clean it. Perfect. So using their measuring cup that came with the machine, I am putting 2 cups of flour. That's not 2 cups, it's 2 of their cups. 1, 2. We're going to add a teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of olive oil. Now you can either put that in your flour or in your egg water mixture. So in the same measuring cup that they provide, I'm going to add 1 egg. And then on the side of the measuring cup, you have a water only measure for 1 cup of flour or 2 cups of flour. Then you have a side over here that's egg and water measurement for either 1 cup or 2 cups of flour. So since we have 2 cups of flour in our mixer, we're going to go to the egg water side for 2 cups. So we have our egg in here. Now we need to add enough water till we reach that line. Whisk it all together. Perfect. We're going to put our lid on. We're going to hit the power button and start. We're going to slowly add in our egg and water. And we're just going to let it do its thing. So it's going to, the auger is going to turn to mix all the ingredients together. And then after 3 minutes, it's going to stop and it's going to reverse so it can start extruding out our pasta. I actually have a whole video of us using this, testing different recipes. I'm going to put a link right there, and it'll also be in the end cards if you're interested in this pasta machine. All the ways we tested on different recipes and cooking techniques. So please go check that video out if you're interested in a pasta maker. Now the first 4 or 5 inches, I just take that off and eventually I'll add it back in because it's a little scraggly for me. And then after that we can start making our pasta, have it on the countertop and let it dry just a bit. Not dry pasta, but just dry out just a bit before we cook it. You can make them as long or as short as you want. Mine's probably about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. And this little tool, the cutting tool, came with it, plus a few extra tools. I think we are done. I'm gonna hit pause, turn it off. Now I'm gonna take it apart, put it in the sink, and then we need to wash it. Then once everything is dry, we can put it all back together and it's ready for us the next time. And the noodle maker or the penne maker is basically what it is. It's a 2-part and it comes out very easily. Now I find that once the pasta dries on this attachment, it's actually easier to clean. So I'm just getting off the big gunks. And then I'm just going to let it sit and dry before I start washing it. Rest of it I can put in the sink. I always try to keep it clean, so I'm just going to go ahead and take a second to wipe it down. This part I'm going to leave right here. Raw pasta can dry just a bit. Then I can put it in the sink and we can wash it. So this can be put away at the moment until I'm ready to put it back together. And I'm just going to let the pasta sit right here till we're ready to cook it. Let's go ahead and make our meatloaf. Now this is just going to be a simple recipe. So I have about a pound of ground turkey in here. This is not lean, but it's not a fatty. It's somewhere in the middle, somewhere between 85.15 to 97.3, somewhere in the middle. So we do need to add some flavor to this. I decided I want to add one of our homemade 8 ounces of pork breakfast sausage. That way we can have some flavor and some fat and some deliciousness. Let's go ahead and start adding our aromatics. I am going to add probably a small pinch, and that's about 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper. The sausage has flavor. We just need to add some flavor to that, the ground turkey. I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. So I have some herb de Provence. I'm going to add 1/2 tablespoon. This stuff smells so good. And the Worcestershire sauce, I'm going to put in a whole tablespoon. That's going to give us some really good umami flavor. I'm going to add an egg. That's going to help bind everything together. Whisk that just a bit. Perfect. I have some unseasoned sourdough breadcrumbs. I'm going to add maybe 1/4 cup. That sounds good. The recipe will be linked in the bottom, so go check that out if you would. Now we're going to go in here with the world's oldest utensil, our hands. We don't want to over mix this, but we want to make sure we're getting that turkey, the sausage, all the herbs and seasonings, and that egg and breadcrumbs all mixed together. I'm just going in there squeezing it, let it ooze out of between my fingers. That's going to blend it very well. Perfect. So I have a casserole dish lined with parchment paper. Now when I shape it into, you know what, let's take this out. Let's shape it into a loaf. Get all the goodness off my hands. We don't want to waste that. It already smells good and it's not even cooked. You can smell that herb de Provence. If I had to guess the size, it's probably about 8 inches by 3 inches, and the height is about 2.5 inches. Perfect. Now in the casserole dish, let me go wash my hands. Now this is going to go in a 350-degree oven. It's probably going to take about an hour. Because we are using ground turkey that is both dark and white meat or light meat, we need to make sure we're cooking this to 175 degrees. So this is probably going to take about an hour. About 45 minutes, I'm going to take the temperature, and if it's almost ready or if it is ready, I want to put a glaze on the top. So in the oven, I'm going to hit the timer for about 45 minutes. And this will be a perfect opportunity to go ahead and get some water boiling. so we can cook our pasta. So I'm going to add a good pinch of salt. I know we have salt in our pasta, but salting the water before you add the pasta, and this is so true when it comes to dry pasta. Make sure you're salting your water so that as your pasta is cooking, it gets the flavor of the salt and it won't be bland. Family, I've said this before, do not add oil to your pasta water before you add the pasta, because that oil will cling to the pasta, and whatever sauce you're mixing your pasta in, it will prohibit it from making that clingy glaziness on the pasta, and the pasta will be dry. You'll have all this sauce, but it won't be on the pasta. Put the lid on. I'm gonna let that come up to a boil, and this is a perfect time for me to wash all the pasta accessories so it can dry, so I can put it back together and put it away. Meatloaf is in the oven, and we got water boiling for the pasta. So the dishes are done. They're in the strainer. Our water is boiling. I'm just going to give it a good stir. Make sure that salt is dissolved in there. Perfect. Now we can add our pasta. Using this bench scraper as an extra hand to pick up things. And picking up the pasta, it's perfect. I'm going to give it just a slight stir. I don't want to break that pasta up, but I want to make sure they're not sticking together. Just a very gentle little stir. Now we're going to let that come back to a boil. We're going to boil it between 3 and 5 minutes. Fresh pasta doesn't take as long as dry pasta, so we don't want to overcook it, because we're actually going to put this in the oven and we're going to make a baked macaroni and cheese. If you're on the fence of whether you need or even want a pasta machine, I say jump that fence, come in my backyard and buy it. Buy the pasta machine. The one I have, the husband gave it to me. It's the one I requested. Is the Philips 7000, and I absolutely love it. The reason I picked this particular one is because it came with an attachment that makes a hollow noodle pasta, and I love it. This is the one I used the most, but it has other ones also. It will do flat pasta if you want to make ravioli or lasagna. I'm not a big fan of that one. I'd rather use my old Italian hand cranky one. It comes with linguine, fettuccine, spaghetti, angel hair, flat noodles, kind of like an egg noodle. It has so many attachments. I love it. The hollow pasta attachment is the one I use the most because we love macaroni and cheese. The pasta is done. I'm going to go ahead and strain that in a strainer in the sink. I'm going to use the same pot to make a bechamel. Burner back on medium heat. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter, small pinch of salt, a little pinch of pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, 2 tablespoons of flour. Now we're making a roux, and I'm just going to cook the flour in this butter just about a minute or 2 to get rid of that raw flour taste. Now when it comes to making a roux, you can overcook it and then the flour is going to lose its thickening agent. So no more than a minute or 2. And we have 1 cup of milk. The milk is going to heat up and activate that roux, and it's going to thicken up beautiful. That's probably going to take about 3 minutes. I do want to taste this for any seasoning, just to see if it needs any more salt or pepper. And it does not. All right, that is perfect. Notice I haven't added cheese yet. That's coming. So we're going to put in our pasta after I throw it all over my stove. Yes, family, my stove is cleaned. I cleaned it this morning before you got here. Let me turn this burner off. Move that out of my way. Oh, goodness, Grammy. We don't need the burner anymore, but I do want to get that mixed in really well in that bechamel. All right, let's move back to the island and build this macaroni and cheese. I have a square casserole dish. It's probably a 9 by 9. We have our macaroni and our bechamel. I do want to put a drizzle of olive oil. That just helps it from sticking. Give that a good little swish. There we go. Now I want to build this into layers. So I'm going to add the macaroni. And the reason we're doing it this way versus adding the cheese to the bechamel is because we're using sharp cheddar cheese, and it's an extra sharp cheddar cheese, and it doesn't melt very well in my bechamel. So we're going to build the macaroni and cheese in layers. I normally use pepper jack cheese and it melts beautiful, but I'm out and I haven't made an Azure order in a couple months. I really don't need anything except for the cheese, and I don't want to just order cheese. Even though I know I can order more, I can always find something to order. I have a spatula. I want to make sure we get all the goodness out of here. And top it with the remainder. And this is a 2-cup measure of cheddar cheese. One more thing. I have a 1-cup measure of Parmesan cheese. I love Parmesan cheese. It has that nutty, salty flavor. It's so good. This is not the green canister kind you find on the pantry shelves in the grocery store. This came in a very large brick. I grated it, put it in 1-cup measure, put it in Ziploc bag, stuck it in the freezer. There we go. Now I want to make a crisp for the top, so I'll probably have about a tablespoon of butter. I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of this unseasoned sourdough breadcrumbs. I want to mix that in really well. If you don't have softened butter, you can always use melted butter. Just put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds. But this will not work with super cold butter. Just trying to get everything coated with that butter. I think that looks good. I'm just going to take it and crumble it right on the top. There we go. That is perfect. Now this is going to go in the same oven right beside the meatloaf. And I am going to bake this uncovered until the cheese melts and it becomes ooey and gooey. That's going to probably take about 20-30 minutes. The meatloaf has 10 minutes left, but we have one more thing we need to do for that. So I'm going to make a tomato paste glaze. So this is some leftover tomato paste from a can that when I open up and I don't need the whole can, I put them in parchment paper in 1 tablespoon measure. and I stick it in the freezer. Still slightly frozen, but that's okay. We can work with this. I'm gonna put this in the microwave for about 30 seconds just to thaw it out a bit. We can work with that. I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of herb de Provence. We're gonna add a tablespoon, this is a half tablespoon measure of brown sugar. Mix that together. After I make a mess, I like using herbs in more than one application when I'm cooking a dish. That way it intensifies the flavor. Like we have herb de Provence in our meatloaf. We're putting herb de Provence in our glaze. So when you bite into it, you're not just biting into tomato paste. You're actually biting into flavor. Just mix that really well. And the brown sugar is just going to add a nice sweetness to it without making it overly sweet. We have 5 minutes left on the meatloaf from the original 45 minutes, and then we can go ahead and get that glazed back in the oven. Clean up my mess here. And let it cook for about another 15 minutes with the glaze. But first we have to check the temperature to make sure it is either really close to done or it's done. And like I said earlier, it needs to be 175 degrees because we are using ground turkey. Now if you're using ground beef or with pork sausage, it needs to be 155 degrees. Proteins have different safe cooking temperature zones, and you want to follow those. If I can find a good link on the temperatures a protein needs to be as you're cooking it, I'll leave a link in the description below and you can go check that out. But fish, depending on the fish, eggs, chicken, turkey, beef, pork, all these things have different temperatures that they need to reach in order it's safe and contaminant-free temperature zones so you can eat it without worrying about causing any damage to you or your family. And that is another reason I enjoy cooking at home, because I can control not only the ingredients, but also the safe cooking temperatures. If you go to a fast food restaurant, they cook by time. You throw something on the grill, you flip it, you take it off. It's all about time. They're not always checking temperatures. And there have been known situations out there where people have gotten sick or died from eating outside their home, relying on companies and employees to cook their food to the right temperature. I do not trust them on a lot of things. That's why the husband and I do not enjoy eating out. I'd rather cook it myself and control all the things. All right, we have 2 minutes. Even though I did wash dishes and the pasta accessories are clean, I got another sink full of dishes. It's not my favorite thing to do, is doing the dishes, but it's a byproduct of feeding my family healthy food, and I'm okay with that. The macaroni and cheese looks beautiful. The aroma coming out of this oven is to die for, family. I wish I can just bring all of y'all into my kitchen, sit down at my table, and enjoy a meal with you. But the next best thing is to invite you in my kitchen and learn how to cook from scratch with real ingredients so you can feed your family. Every time you are cooking one of my recipes, just know I am mentally sitting at your table enjoying that meal with you. The way I look at it is when I invite you in my kitchen and we cook a meal together, I imagine you're sitting at the table eating with us also. 45 minutes is up on the meatloaf. Let's take it out and take a peek. I do want to take the temperature. So we want to make sure we go in at the side and get the probe in as far as we can. We are reading 167 degrees. We do need to get to 175, so we have time to cook it for a little bit longer. Let me put this paste on top, and I like it when it's thick like this. This is perfect. Probably could have gotten away with just 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, but that's okay. We're going to go in here and try to paint the sides as well as the top. That looks good. I'm going to put this back in the oven for another 15 minutes, and it'll cook that tomato paste so it don't have that raw tomato flavor. During that time, we're going to leave the macaroni and cheese in there, and in 15 minutes, family, we can have dinner. Another perfect opportunity to get the dirty dishes washed, then we can have dinner. 15 minutes is up. Let's check the temperature of the meatloaf. All right, we are good. We're reading 180. All right, let's go ahead and take out our meatloaf. There we go. Move this pan out of our way. I'm gonna turn the oven off. Let's grab the macaroni and cheese. Oh, family, look at that. It's beautiful. Now everything is super, super hot. I want the meatloaf to sit here for about 10 minutes just so the juices can redistribute itself. And when we cut into it, we're not losing flavor. Macaroni and cheese is going to sit here during that time just to cool off a bit so we can eat. But I'll see you back here in 10 minutes and we're going to sit down and have dinner. Okay, family, it's been about 10 or 15 minutes. Let's go ahead and slice our meatloaf. You can make it as thin or as thick if you like it. I'm going to do about maybe a 3/4 inch slice. And if you have a large family, this recipe can be doubled, triple, however you want. This is the perfect amount for the husband and I have dinner tonight. We can have this for lunch tomorrow. And then I'll make dinner tomorrow night. That's going to be a good one. I do have that planned out already. I'm going to get a slice of meatloaf, and it does not look, dropping it, does not look dry at all. Some macaroni and cheese. Look at that, family. Perfect. You can serve this with some roasted vegetables, asparagus or broccoli or zucchini. You can serve this with green beans, a side salad, whatever you like. But we're simple people, and I don't like having leftovers to where I have to throw them away after a day or two. I cook what I know we can eat in 2 days, 3 days max. Let's try some of this macaroni and cheese. That is really good. The outer edge that was touching the pan has a nice little crisp to it. Family, I'm enjoying that. And that Parmesan cheese that we put on the top, very flavorful. And some meatloaf with that seasoned tomato paste glaze. It is not dry at all. I can taste the herb de Provence. Oh, family, that is really good. Cooked perfect. So the husband and I are going to sit down and have dinner. I can't wait to bring you back tomorrow and show you what we're going to do. It's going to be a good one, family. And it would be nice if I have some leftover macaroni and cheese, because that would also go really well with dinner tomorrow night. I'm happy with this. The meatloaf was delicious. We had it for dinner last night, and we also had it for lunch today, as well as the macaroni and cheese. I still have a little bit more than half of the macaroni and cheese. We're gonna repurpose this for dinner tonight. So what are we having for dinner? First, we need to turn the oven on. 350 degrees. I took out one of our packs of boneless, skinless chicken breast and tenders. Now, if you're interested on how to cut up a whole chicken to make fryer parts, or to even just remove that backbone to make a spatchcock chicken for roasting, or how to learn to make your own home-prepped, boneless, skinless chicken breast and chicken thighs, I have a video for that. It'll be in the description below, plus I'll put it in the end card, so make sure you check that video out. When you can find chicken on sale, that's when you buy it. That's when you do all the things with the chicken that you caught on sale to fit your family's needs and how you eat. So I took this out of the freezer a couple of days. It's been sitting in the refrigerator. We need to season and bake this chicken so we can zhuzh it up in a barbecue sauce. So I have the same casserole dish that we used yesterday, and using the parchment paper means it's still clean. So this is 2 pieces of boneless, skinless chicken breast. Actually, yeah, that I had filleted. So it's actually 4 small pieces, and the 2 tenders. I'm going to add just a little bit of salt and pepper on both sides. Let's give that a flip. No oils or anything, because I don't want to add any fat to this lean chicken. And I just want it to be flavored with the barbecue sauce that we're going to add a few little ingredients just to make it really flavorful. In a 350 degree oven. I'm not sure how long that's going to take. I'm going to set the timer for 30 minutes. We'll check the temperature. Chicken breast or the light meat of a chicken needs to be 165 degrees. So then after 30 minutes, we'll check the temperature. If it's done, we can move on. If not, we'll extend the time, and I'll let you know how long that takes. As for the barbecue sauce, it's going to be a really simple ingredients. Now, I have made homemade barbecue sauce using canned tomato paste. I've made barbecue sauce using store-bought organic ketchup, but this time we're just using store-bought barbecue sauce. We're going to zhuzh up with a little bit of our home fermented hot sauce plus a little bit of mustard. We have about 30 minutes before we have to tackle the barbecue sauce. So I'll see you when that chicken comes out of the oven and we can move on. And I'll explain to you how we're going to heat up the macaroni and cheese that we had made yesterday with homemade macaroni. So the way I'm going to repurpose this macaroni and cheese, it's going to be simple. I'm just going to add about a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup of milk. I'm going to break it just a bit. It's really cold. The cheese has gotten hard, but we need to hydrate it and cook it a little bit longer. So just going to break it up a bit. I'm going to cover it with aluminum foil. And as that milk heats up, it's going to steam inside aluminum foil covered pan. It's going to hydrate the macaroni and melt that cheese a little bit more. So this is going to go in the oven right beside the chicken. And in the meantime, we can make our barbecue sauce that we're going to use. So this is a G. Hughes sugar-free original barbecue sauce. I'm going to put about a 1/2 cup in here. Feel free to measure if you like, family. I'm just going to eyeball it. This is some homemade Dijon mustard. I want to add about a tablespoon. This is a home fermented hot sauce. I'm just going to add about a teaspoon. Mix that really well. I want to taste it just to see if it needs anything else. I think I'm going to add something else. It has a little kick from that hot sauce, but it's good. I think I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of soy sauce. It's one of those ingredients that gives you that umami mouthfeel flavor. That's perfect. Now we just got to wait on that chicken. Then we can shred it and add our barbecue sauce. Put it back in the oven and just let it cook with the barbecue sauce. The barbecue sauce is done. It's cooked. It's ready to go. But I want the flavors with that chicken get mellowed out together. We put everything back in the refrigerator. And we have 2 minutes left. 30 minutes for the chicken is up. I do want to take its temperature. It's going to be kind of hard because this is a very thin filleted piece of chicken. So we're going to go in the side, make sure the probe stays in the meat, and it needs to read 165. In the thickest part of this chicken, it's reading 169. That is done. I'm going to remove the chicken, place it on this cutting board. Now the liquid it provided, you can actually save that or you can throw it away. I'm going to save it so we can have additional juices in our barbecue chicken and it won't be so dry. It's only about maybe not even a half a cup in here. That's just pure flavor. It's like chicken broth. So this is the same pan with the parchment paper we cooked the chicken. I'm just going to go in here and just cut it up. Oh, we have a bone in here, but that's okay. We can find the bone. And I want to shred it up just a bit. Chop it up really, really small. Put it back in our pan. And I like using parchment paper because it makes easy cleanup. And our barbecue sauce that we added some hot sauce. We added a little bit of Dijon mustard. Just to add another depth of flavor. And the soy sauce is going to carry it over the top. Give that a little toss, mix it in with all the juices that were left into this pan. And this is going to go back in the oven. Now it is cooked, it is done. We can eat it just like this. But I want to give that barbecue sauce a little roasting so it can like glaze over. I'm going to hit the timer for 15 minutes because the macaroni and cheese is still in the oven anyway, so we're not ready to eat. And by the time that chicken is in there with that barbecue sauce and it glazes over for that 15 minutes, the macaroni and cheese should be ready or close to ready, and then we can sit down and have dinner. The bread we're going to make sandwiches on is a homemade sourdough bread. I made this earlier this week. You saw the video of us putting it in the oven. This was the day we ground up all the herbs that were hanging up on the pot rack, drying. We also tended to the elderberries that I had picked out of the front yard, plus we did some other things. So we're just going to use sour bread as a roll for our barbecue sandwiches. We can put this in a toaster oven and we can heat them up, or we can eat it cold. All right, family, I'll see you in about 14 more minutes and dinner should be ready. 15 minutes is up. So we have our barbecue chicken and we have our heated macaroni and cheese. Look at that, just a little bit of milk. Added the right amount of moisture and heated it up. That is perfect. So I've got 2 slices of sourdough bread. I'm not even going to bother toasting it. So let's put a little bit of barbecue chicken on our bread, and you can add cheese if you want, whatever your family enjoys, and some macaroni and cheese. Let's try some barbecue chicken. It's a little bit spicy with that hot sauce, but it's not hot. Now, if your family is not a big fan of hot sauce, leave it out. You can do whatever you want with your barbecue sauce. That is really good. And of course, the macaroni and cheese, it's the same macaroni and cheese we made yesterday. We just heated it up for dinner today. Still just as good. Make sure you check out the videos at the end of this video, because they're going to be really good information for you. If you don't mind, give this video a thumbs up. While you're at it, please subscribe. I would love to have you part of the Grammy family. We can make a real meal using real ingredients that we have in our freezer, in our refrigerator, on our pantry shelves, and we can make a delicious meal. Stop trying to do 30-minute meals. Learn how to take what you like and streamline it, such as this chicken. While the chicken was cooking in the oven, you can walk around and do other things in your house. You don't have to stand in the kitchen waiting 30 minutes for that chicken. You can prepare this the day before, and then when you're ready to eat, just heat it up and then you have dinner. Don't look at time when it comes to feeding your family. Look at ingredients. So I hope you have a blessed day. Can't wait to bring you back in the kitchen, and we'll make something delicious and just do things that needs to be done. So until next time, y'all have a blessed day. Bye, family. Just so you know, husband, this barbecue chicken is really good.